Good morning from Berlin, Germany. Day 2, first full day really. Going down to get some breakfast. I've got kind of like Cocoa Pebbles, but they're like Cocoa Crisps. Got a nice sandwich with marmalade, cheese, pepperoni, salami, and ham. Orange slices, a little cinnamon roll, a little chocolate donut, some grapes, and a chocolate croissant. So we're eating good this morning. We're eating good. Man, I love European breakfast. Now I'm headed to a free walking tour at the Brandenburg Monument. I'm meeting a group of people that I don't know yet at a Starbucks, and it should be fun. It should be really fun. I will try and film a good bit. I'll have to stay away from the pack, but I do want to be respectful to everyone in the group and not be the guy that's causing a nuisance with a camera. But I'll try and get some good footage. One thing you immediately notice about Berlin is how diverse it is, how diverse the entire community is. There are people all over from Asia, South America, of course from Europe, and even Americans living here that are working. I see why they call it the New York of Germany. Lots of signs for marijuana shops here, as they just legalized weed a few months back. And I've made it to the Starbucks where the free walking tour is. Now it's time to meet some people and find out where the group is.
Arrived.
All right, so my name is Marcel. Nice to meet you all. For how many of you is this your very first time in Berlin, by the way? Wow, the vast majority of people, but not everybody. So you've been here before? And you've been here before? Does anybody live here except for me? No, that does happen sometimes. Anyway, so yeah, my name is Marcel. Again, it's fairly obvious from my accent that I am not actually German. I guess you clocked that right away. So basically my story is that my father's originally from Massachusetts in the United States. My mother's from Finland, but the two of them met in what used to be called West Germany. Now the fact that I say West Germany should let you know one thing, which is that I'm at least 33 years old. Because 33 years is how long Germany has been reunited as a single country. I'm a little bit older than that. I was born in 1984, but I am not yet 40. Very soon. And I was born in a place called Heidelberg. Has anybody ever been to Heidelberg? Yes. Yeah? It's actually way nicer than Berlin. Next time you come to Germany, go there instead. But anyway, I was born in Heidelberg, and at the time my father was working for the US military, and basically because of his job when I was 2 years old, we as a family ended up here in Berlin. That was back in 1986, when Berlin would have been a divided city in a divided country. So we actually moved to what was known at the time as West Berlin. A long story short, I was 5 years old living in Berlin when the wall came down in 1989, which I suppose is pretty cool because at least I get to stand here and say I was here for something very historic. But I don't really remember all that much because I was 5 years old. I moved away from Berlin when I was still fairly young, and I've just come back in the last few years now to reconnect with this incredible city, which it'll be my pleasure to show you around a little bit of today. Does anybody know the name of where we are? I think there's a sign right behind me. So Pariser Platz, by the way, means Paris Square, and they've never changed the name, so it's still a reminder to the French of what happened more than 200 years ago. I'm not sure if you noticed, but the French embassy happens to be right over there as well. Kind of ironic. And then we also have the most iconic hotel in Berlin right behind you all, the Hotel Adlon. Is anybody staying in the Adlon? I have nobody on the free tour staying in the most expensive hotel in Berlin. That's a shame. Maybe next time, right? All right, so they have something in there which is called the Royal Suite. And the Royal Suite is where actual royal figures will stay. So for example, King Charles was here maybe about a year ago. However, I would argue somebody maybe even more royal than him stayed there back in 2002. Anybody know of any other kings? Somebody know the answer? No? Ever heard of the King of Pop, Michael Jackson?
Okay.
So Michael Jackson stayed here. Why is that important? Because back in 2002, there was a major incident that happened in the hotel where Michael Jackson almost dropped his baby out of a window. You remember that? That was actually here in Berlin. Yeah.
So just out there in the street, you can see a cobblestone line which symbolized the divide between East and West Berlin. And right here you have the Tiergarten, also known as the Animal Garden in Germany. And that was the hunting grounds for the members of the royal family. So, very different back then, as you can imagine.
Feel free to sit, that's totally fine, but just be very careful not to put your feet on any of the blocks, because the security will come around and tell you to get down. And that's because we have come to a memorial. Has anybody already been here? Ah, you got the right idea. Okay, so look, basically they refer to it sometimes as the Holocaust Memorial, but that's technically not correct. In German, translated into English, there's a much longer, much more literal, and really quite uncomfortable sounding name. So the official name is the Memorial for the Murdered Jews of Europe. Now, we just talked about 1933 and the Nazis coming to power. One thing to understand about not only the Nazis, but a lot of other German nationalist or far-right organizations is that they were always very anti-Semitic. Because the Jewish masses made up a significant, you could say, minority in Germany at the time, and they were always getting scapegoated for all of society's problems. And basically from 1933, when the Nazis did come to power, you could see this anti-Semitism coming across at first in all of the legislation and all of the laws. So basically, Jews start to lose all of their rights bit by bit.
So right now I'm walking through the Holocaust Memorial in Berlin. It symbolizes a solemn tribute to the 6 million Jewish victims of the Holocaust, or 2/3 of the Jewish population in Europe. So on April 30th, 1945, Adolf Hitler committed suicide right here. The remnants of his bunker are below this dirt parking lot, and his body was burned just on the other side of this white van. This is very fascinating so far. If you come to Berlin, you should definitely do a free walking tour. So this is the upper council of the German parliament, the Bundesrat, right here next to the commercial shopping mall of Berlin. We are still in East Berlin, and this is the only standing building from the war. Really fascinating. As you can see here, we have a socialist mural from 1952, and this building is still used by the German government. It is now the Federal Ministry of Finance, or the tax office. Bundesministerium der Finanzen. You can see all the damage from the war that has been patched up here. And now we have finally reached part of the Berlin Wall. So the Berlin Wall was 2 walls actually. This is the outer wall, and you can see the cobblestone line. Well, you might not be able to see it, but over by that car, the cobblestone line goes across, which symbolizes the line from East to West Berlin. On the other side, on the west side of this Berlin Wall that still stands, was the Topography of Terror, a documentation center located on the west side of the former Berlin Wall, situated on the site of the former Gestapo and SS headquarters. And this wall still stands because of the Topography of Terror. It is known as a historical monument, so they decided to not take down this piece of the wall. This is a Trabis car. These cars were made in the 60s and were considered pretty good back then. By the 80s, these were considered very old school and out of fashion, really. We have a rogue water fountain here. Perfect timing though, because I needed this. Checkpoint Charlie. This was one of the checkpoints established by the Allied forces, specifically the Americans, during the Cold War division of Berlin. It served as a crossing point between East and West Berlin, primarily for diplomats, military personnel, and foreigners. Soviet and American tanks faced off here in 1961. The lady over here just said this is a pickpocketing central, so definitely important to watch your things here. Here in the street you can see a photo of an American soldier. The soldier is a retired guy living in the US, and he had no idea that his photo was being used for the street in the street here, and his friend came here one day and found this photo when he was drinking out on the street, and he sent him a postcard of the photo, and Jeff Harbour, the soldier, was very confused, and Jeff ended up coming to an agreement with Germany, and now he gets paid off of having his photo here. So it's supposed to symbolize them looking down the street at the Soviets. All right, I'm here with Marcel. He was the tour guide today. Fantastic tour guide here in Berlin. Incorporates humor into the tour. Very knowledgeable on everything around, and very great tour guide to be with. So if you ever come to Berlin, where can they find you?
Man, appreciate it. Well, basically, the tour that you went on today is via Sundemann's New Europe.
Okay.
So I would say definitely look for Sundemann's. You can book all of the tours that we do. I don't only do this tour. We also have tours that look directly at the Cold War, tours that look more into the history of the Third Reich, the Nazi regime, tours of the Museum Island, which is one of the most iconic, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So a lot of different things you can do in Berlin. But yeah, definitely. I mean, this is the city really, you know, for really history, I would say, in Europe, especially dealing with the last century. So thanks for coming, man.
Yeah. So in Berlin, you'll notice a lot of little bears like this all over the place. And it is also the animal that is on the state flag of Berlin. On all of the traffic lights, you'll see these little guys. You just saw them in the red and green there. They, that is a little staple of East Berlin. You won't find those on the traffic lights in West Berlin. So it still signifies the difference and the disparities between the two sides. And here you have another bear. And so the reason, as Marcel was telling us, the reason that you see bears all over the place and there is a bear on the Berlin state flag is because BER, bear, means bear in German. So Berlin, and that's why you have bears all over the place. Kind of cool. Walking a little bit more along the Berlin Wall, it is shorter than you might imagine, and apparently there was a guy that tried to climb it to somewhat make a mockery of the wall. I wonder what happened to him. Members of the German military here. Stopping here at a little food court to grab some German bratwurst and also some German Pilsner. The worst bar, Berlin. We've got our roast bratwurst, German bratwurst, and we've got Halle Roder, a nice Pilsner. This is the only size they have. It's a huge beer. That was really good. Now I am walking back towards the hostel. I got my German Pilsner. No clue if it's legal to drink in the streets here, but I feel like it is. And as always, remember to recycle. Vlogging?
Yep.
Also, me too. Traveling Berlin?
Yeah, not traveling actually, I stay in Berlin.
Oh, you stay in Berlin? Okay.
Yeah.
You have a YouTube channel name?
Yeah, it is Sam's Sailors.
Sam's Sailors?
Yeah.
Okay. It's fun. I like the city.
Yeah, it is. You're from?
I'm from America.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Nice to see somebody speaking English here.
Oh yeah. I know. I know. It's funny seeing someone else vlogging. I had to talk to him. Okay, officially crossing the cobblestone line right here. East Berlin, West Berlin. First time in West Berlin. Now we are back at the Tiergarten. And in the middle, we have a lion. Just imagine the royal family coming out here, hunting for their food, hunting for trophy animals. It is honestly quite crazy to think about. If you come to Berlin, I would bring bug spray, because while I have been walking around, many mosquitoes and little spiders, tiny little spiders, have crawled on me. It doesn't really bother me, but if that bothers you, I would definitely be cautious of it and wear bug spray. Let's go check out where the fan setup is. We have TV Berlin right here. So this will be where all the European Championship.
It's a
Okay.
fan mile.
It's a fan mile.
It's a fan mile, public view.
I see, I see.
They're gonna show there the whole games.
Yeah, I see. Between it through the goalposts. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. So what kind of work are you doing here?
Reporting.
Reporting. Okay. What a nice job.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
She's my chief editor, I'm the cameraman.
You're the cameraman, she's editor?
Oh, and I think it's my turn.
So just over there, you can see the Reichstag building, or the German parliament. There are people walking. You can't see them because it's so far away, but there are people walking around up in that dome. And it symbolizes them standing over the government. It is also transparent to symbolize transparency with the government. Another bear here. You see them everywhere. I Heart Berlin. Original Capitol Bear.